I did say that I'd be back with this Presario V4000 if I did go ahead and buy a drive for it. Or find a drive for it. And here we are, we're back. And I bought a drive. In fact, it's actually the same drive that's in there now. Well, almost. It's the same basic idea. It's just not an HP OEM drive. Now, I justified this to myself by saying, okay, I bought this lot of hard drives. There were 3 drives in the lot. And it's not specifically for this project, because this thing is not really worth buying a hard drive for. So, I needed the IDE hard drives anyway, so I guess whatever, it's not that big of a deal, but I gotta get this out and put that one in. Oh, with the old, in with the new. And I guess for now what I'll do is I actually still have my Windows XP disk in here because I tried to run the recovery on the Windows XP disk. It didn't even see the Windows boot partition that was on that drive. It did not see the C drive. It just saw whatever was on the recovery partition, which is kind of interesting. It almost suggests to me that maybe that recovery partition would have been bootable, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to boot to it. So we'll try a fresh Windows XP install, see how many drivers we need. Probably a lot. See if I can actually find them. I'm sure a site like driverscollection.com has them. And I've certainly used driverscollection.com in the past and not been too dissatisfied with it. And that you can actually make that site work. It doesn't necessarily force you to download the stupid driver installer program, which basically might as well just be malware. But I'd rather download straight from HP's site. The problem with doing that is that Hewlett-Packard, in their infinite wisdom, decided to remove most of the drivers from their website. I'm sure they're still on HP's FTP site, so if I really wanted to navigate that, I probably could. I'm not sure this power supply is still plugged in. It might not be. Let's see if we can get this to open. Come on. Here we go. Yep, it is. Hard drive certainly sounds better. Kind of curious. I know it's trying to boot to the CD. No, there's nothing on that hard drive. It's completely blank. Because it just went straight into Windows XP setup. So we'll let it do so. I forgot to take the product key off the bottom, doggone it. Okay. Install Windows XP. I read that very carefully. There is a partition there, but it's completely blank. So I'm going to just delete it. We'll quick format NTFS. I don't see any reason to full format. Probably should have, but these drives were billed as being in 100% health with no bad sectors, so I'm going to just take the seller's word for it. Because I don't really have time to sit here and wait for this thing to full format an 80GB hard drive. So, this is Windows XP Home Edition. And this is also the OEM disc. Unfortunately, it's only RTM. So it does not have Service Pack 3 on it. So I'll have to install the service packs. And then I'll probably also install the Legacy Update program. But again, that's all assuming that I can actually find the drivers for this computer, because you never know. So we'll let it get through setup, and then I'll come back once that's done. I really probably shouldn't be working on a computer at 1:30 in the morning on a weeknight, but whatever. We're not going to boot to the CD. Huh, didn't even have time to load the logo. That's funny. Nope, definitely no video driver. Because that is 640 by 480, my friends. I really love how it says it'll take 39 minutes. Does that on every install. I think Windows 98 was the same way back in the day. It would always say 30 to 60 minutes when you started it. I don't think I've ever had a Windows 98 install take 60 minutes. Then again, I really never used Windows 98 too actively. I only had it on computers that it already came on. Usually if I was installing an OS, back in those days, it was Windows 95, because Windows 95 was infinitely better in just about every way. The only problem with 95 is that it didn't have USB support baked into it. USB support in 95 wasn't very good, but most of that was Microsoft's own sabotage. And I'm not interested in getting into a debate about that in the comments section of this video, because it's not the point. Installing devices, probably not very many of them that it knows. But I'm sure when I get Legacy Update on this, it'll actually probably be able to install some of the drivers that are otherwise missing. Oh, now it's running 800 by 600, it looks like. But that's still a suggestion to me that there's no video driver. There's probably no audio driver either. Wonder how long it's going to sit here and make me wait. Huh. Don't tell me you're going to do that to me now. Wow. That's really bad. Well, that's irritating. I gave up waiting on it, turned it off, turned it back on, and now I'm at this point. Sure, let's activate. We'll do the telephone activation option because, well, this thing is not going to be able to activate over the internet because that doesn't work anymore. Unless I install Legacy Update and install the proper root certificates, which I can't do. Look at this. There is no installation ID provided. So that's good. Let me see if I can change the product key and see if I can get that done that way. Nope. Tried re-entering the product key. Didn't make a difference. Probably because this is an OEM license key and it's supposed to pre-activate in this version of Windows, or because the install's screwed up, it doesn't know that. So all I can do is hit remind me later, and then it just logs me out. So I guess we're back to the drawing board on that one. Well, the camera was out of focus when it showed up, but I gave up on Windows XP Home Edition. It didn't seem to really want to work. So now I'm trying Windows XP Pro, and this doesn't really want to work either. This is now the third time I've had to do this. Here it's going a little bit nuts over there. Certainly trying to work. Once that progress bar appears, let's see what happens. I'm going to actually watch it this time, because the last two times I've been sitting over taking care of other things, and I've come back and found this thing lifeless. Seems there's a problem with the power control logic on the computer, or it just does not want me to install Windows XP. Maybe both. Perhaps that's why I got donated to the thrift store. I don't know. But this computer is really putting me out here. You know, I saved it, and I even went to all the trouble of buying a new hard drive for it, and this is how it treats me. I might throw it out the window soon. Happened to be on the second story, so we'll throw it out the second story window. Just the way that it should be done. Definitely still doing something. It's not as fast as the Windows XP Home Edition install was. I'm not really sure why that is. It's not any real... There's no real difference between the two that I could tell. Maybe with the camera pointed at it, it'll actually work this time. Hopefully. Setup will complete in approximately 37 minutes. Installing devices. We do have some disk activity. See how far it gets. I will note with great intrigue that it's charging the battery now, and it has not done that in the entire time I've had this laptop. So I don't know why all of a sudden now it's decided to start charging the battery. I am using the power supply off of a different laptop now, actually a Compaq Presario V6000. It is the same power supply, so it seems to work okay. I'm not overvolting the computer or anything like that, or undervolting the computer, such as the case may be. But yeah, like I said, I got to this part of setup, I sat over in the chair over there and was actually editing another video. Turn over, look at this thing, and it's turned off. No power whatsoever. I'm not really sure why. I couldn't tell you at what point of setup it was stopping. Just that it was stopping at some point during setup. But I'm telling you what, this piece of crap's going to get treated to Linux soon enough. Or maybe even Windows Vista, depending upon how hardball I want to play with it. Well, maybe it's a little bit too old for Windows Vista. I might put Windows Millennium on it. No, we got this point. So I don't know if maybe it was upset because I let it sit around and just shut down or something, or maybe the power button got stuck. Because I'll note with great interest that I was not able to turn this thing off with the power switch before, and all of a sudden it has started working. Well, go figure. With the camera pointed at it, it actually decides to work. This is a pre-activated copy of Windows XP. It's been modified. I've been using it in some of my recent build videos, or computer videos, to install because it's faster than using the OEM disks. I think I do have a Windows XP SP3 OEM disk somewhere around here, but I don't know where it is. And most of my other disks are RTM, so including that Windows XP Home Edition that I was using before, and it's just RTM. I'd have to install all the service packs manually, which I guess isn't that big of a problem, but this certainly saves me some time. I'll probably put USB 4 on this. That's probably what I'll do, and then I might install Legacy Update on top of that. Not that I think it'll make that much of a difference, because once you install USB 4 and you install the update roll-up that was released after USB 4 came out, there's not really much more that you can install, because that'll give you pretty much all of the updates, the POS ready ones, etc. So I'll let it sit and do its thing, and hopefully I don't come back to it turned off again. Well, I was in the middle of installing start menu items, and then it just turned off again, so I'm done with that. Let me see if I can scare up some version of Linux to install on this, because that is, quite frankly, retarded. And I've had enough of this computer being retarded. It's going to do what I want. Okay, we'll give it one more try, because I just picked the computer up and I don't know, there's a possibility that it's shutting down because it's overheating. I really rather doubt that. But now I gotta go through the entirety of setup again, so that's good. That's very good, that's what I want it to do. Now this is about the step that it got to last time. Got the point across. Please wait. Boy, I hate that screen. Alright. Click on OK. You have an hourglass this time. That's a little bit more of an improvement. I'm about to sneeze, which is real great. Yeah, here we go. Again, we're not out of the woods yet. We have to find drivers for this. Probably all manner of drivers for this. No, I don't need to turn on automatic updates. Like I said, this is pre-activated. Still checking my internet connectivity anyway. I'm going to skip that because it's not connected to a network right now. I'm not registering with Microsoft. Put in the pertinent information. And there we go. Welcome. Now back in the day when I first started running Windows XP, I never installed any of the device drivers, and the system that I was using at the time was a Toshiba Tecra 740 CDT. And it did not have the display stretching turned on. Eventually I did figure out what that feature was and turned it on. But for a while, I was running it in 640 by 480 mode as a postage stamp in the middle of the screen, and I certainly used it that way. But over time, I've kind of started to get a little annoyed with that. I'd much rather have the proper display and various drivers installed. Well, it knows what the Ethernet is, so that's pretty neat. Of course, that's Intel 10100, so it should know what that is. No antivirus software, which is fine. We can figure that out later. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the wireless is not there. Yep, wireless is not found. And it's looking for some other drivers there. The video, which for whatever reason is showing up twice. So I'll have to see if I can find some drivers for this. I'm sure HP's FTP site probably has them somewhere. But I don't know. Well, we got a number of the drivers installed. We're not quite done yet. Oh, this had the modem driver installed already, but I guess it was the 1394 that I saw. So I guess I'll have to download that too. And this network controller here. Now I was under the impression that this had Broadcom wireless. But now I'm not so sure. Because, take a look at that. That's a Realtek RTL8139. I thought this had Intel networking too. Sorry, Intel wired Ethernet. Intel Pro 100 VE, but I guess I'm thinking of the other one. The Presario V6000 that you may or may not have seen a video of already. And this does have Centrino, so that probably should have been my first clue that this had Intel wireless in it, but I don't know, I guess I kind of ignored that. Okay, these buttons are working. Looks like, yes, they are. Indeed. Do I have the volume up? No. Turn the volume up all the way there. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to update the BIOS. It's running version F12 right now. We'll update it to F17. Or at least we'll try and update it to F17. See if this fails. This BIOS is not for your notebook PC. Well, gee, I downloaded it from the page for this Presario V4000. So I guess we're not updating the BIOS. Fine by me. One less thing I need to do. So now, because it wouldn't let me actually download the Intel wireless driver, I don't know why. I think it might be a little bit messed up. Which doesn't surprise me now that I saw that the BIOS won't update. So I'll plug it into the network. And because it's Windows XP that's unprotected with antivirus, I'll just plug it into my... Even though it is a fresh install, I'll plug it in to my restricted network here, which should work just fine. That icon might disappear. Yeah, it just disappeared. So it's connected to the network now. And we'll try and install Legacy Update. Okay, now I will promise that there'll probably be a video about this at some point where I actually do this properly. But we're going to go ahead and install Legacy Update. And we'll run it. I'm debating whether I should enable the POS Ready 2009 updates. I think I won't on this. So we'll just go ahead and install that. And we'll let it do what it needs to do. Welcome to Legacy Updates. Checking for latest updates. For the first time, may take several minutes. Please be patient. Alright, I'm hoping that this is going to find the hardware drivers that are missing. I think the only one that's missing right now is the wireless. So, I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do for antivirus software, because I'm not sure if there's really much out there in the world that still supports Windows XP. Okay, well, we'll skip on the .NET Client Framework 4 first. Probably don't need this end of support notification, because we already know that Windows XP is out of support. I'll try installing Security Essentials. I don't think it'll work, though. And I know for a fact that the Live Essentials won't, because that's been taken off of Microsoft servers. And if we take a look, see here, there's an Ethernet driver update. There's the 2200BG. And the pointing device. So we'll stick with that for now. Well, we'll start with that for now. Okay, I think this computer is pretty much ready to go. First thing is first, you can see that it has not been lying to me about charging the battery, because it really did. Managed to charge that, and it seems to even somewhat work. You can see I've customized it here, got my theme going and everything. Now I did set up the OEM info. I don't know if it'll pick up on it without a reboot. No, there it is. So yeah, it is there. Everything's accounted for. Couldn't get Security Essentials to work, so I did install that. It seems to be working on its own as well. So we've got that going. Got my disk monitoring program and my core temperature monitoring program. Got that going there. Seems to not be doing too bad of a job. Get some information about the CPU that's in this. Of course, the hard drive, which is indeed good. No bad sectors or anything like that, which is good. Because, like I said, it was built to me as being 100%. Got all the updates installed, although, of course, I'm sure if I go back to this and I check for updates again, it's going to probably want to install Security Essentials, which I'm not going to do because I don't need it. Maybe it'll be smart enough not to. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, the battery in this is holding out. It's pretty impressive. Remains to be seen if it actually is as good as it claims to be. But yeah, I find it kind of sad that this thing has a perfectly working battery, or a seemingly working battery. And yet there's a lot of newer laptops, including but not limited to that Compaq V6000, whose batteries are completely dead. Nope, did not bring up security essentials. So it's smart enough to know that I've got an antivirus program installed. I did go ahead and install another web browser. This is SeaMonkey version 2.49.5. Pretty outdated at this point, but it's the most recent version that will actually run on Windows XP. And I don't think there's any difference if you try and run the unofficial updates, because the unofficial updates, unlike those for Windows 2000, are really nothing more than just update roll-up packages. All they do is enable the POS ready updates and install them and act as an update roll-up. I don't think there's any kernel level enhancements. In fairness, it'd probably be kind of difficult to do that anyway. I've never actually opened this, because later versions of Windows have a completely different NT kernel version number on them. If I hit the home page, you can see your platform is no longer supported. So, what you see is what you get. But it probably would do just fine browsing the web. Well, it's definitely nobody's idea of a speed demon. I think the internet has basically largely left computers like this in the dust. These old single-core, single-thread systems. This is a Pentium M, as opposed to a Celeron M, but doesn't really have much in the way of hardware-assisted video decoding or anything like that. I almost wonder if it's locked up. Yeah, I think it's caused by a browser to freeze. Computer itself is still working, though, albeit barely. It's definitely caused the computer to start dragging pretty badly. You can see how long it's taken just to bring the control panel up. So, yeah, if you ask me, watching a YouTube video on this is probably out of the question. I don't even have control of the computer anymore. I think I've lost control of it. Maybe not. Maybe it'll come back. There we go. So, I was going to demo that. Looks like that's not really going to happen, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Validate your copy of Windows. Ooh, sure. I don't think it's going to actually work. Well, maybe it did. This is Media Slayer 11. Fully up to date. You don't need any of this information. Get out of here. Go away. No, I don't need that. Add a shortcut to the quick launch bar, which I don't actually have. Now this is the Windows Vista version of this, basically. I always thought that looked kind of cool. You know, there'll probably be a point in time where some rapper somewhere is going to sample that and use it in the rap song, and then Content ID is going to go absolutely nuts in all these videos that people, myself included, have used that in. It's just kind of crazy. I almost wonder what the copyright situation is with that. Almost if it's... because it is a WMA file, and it's included with Windows, so I almost wonder if there's much in the way of copyright. I mean, obviously it's a copyrighted work, but how loose is the copyright? It's kind of like Kleenex or Velcro. It's definitely a trademark, but it's a genericized trademark, that kind of thing. So I think that's pretty much it for this Presario V4000 and the effort that it took in order to get Windows loaded back on this. It's not the factory build, but who cares? It's running Windows now, and it's running it fairly well. So I'm going to shut it down here, and I will thank you for watching. Now if you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. Like I said, the battery kept it up that entire time. Not bad. I have to peel those dumb stickers off.